have decided to do a review of my backpacking quilt. In my last video, I reviewed my whole sleep system and told you about what I was using over the winter. And I said that I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do a review of my quilt, just for the reason that it's from a kind of non-reputable company, and I didn't want to say, yeah, this is great, you should get this, and then you get something that's kind of subpar and wasn't the same as what I got. But I decided that everyone was big enough to make their own judgments and assess the risks of it, and it was such a good bit of kit that I decided I wish I'd seen a review of this before I had gone and got it, and not, so I just got into it blind. So I will be reviewing the Ice Flame Down backpacking quilt. I picked this up off of AliExpress. For those of you who don't know, AliExpress is kind of China's eBay / Amazon. So I picked up off there. It was only £85, Great British pounds that is, which is super cheap for a backpacking quilt. If you get something from UGQ or Enlightened Equipment or Hammock Gear or something like that, you're looking kind of north of £200, that's as a minimum. So 85 quid for this is super cheap and a real budget option. So the hammock comes, it's got its own little stuff set, and it also comes with a mesh storage bag, so that you don't store it all. You shouldn't store it like that. I've just put it in here for the purpose of the video. You store it so that the down can loft properly, otherwise it loses it over time. So I'll open this up and have a look inside. I don't really use this when I go out. I usually just kind of stuff this at the bottom of my bag inside my liner, but I just kept hold of it to just keep it in that mesh bag. Okay, so this is the quilt. There are 3 different types that I've found on AliExpress. They've got random codes, but they're all kind of on the same page, but they're just different options. There's one that has vertical baffles, so the baffles run down from the head. This one, as you can see, has horizontal baffles. And there's another one where the whole quilt is just a rectangle, whereas, hopefully you might be able to see now, this one is kind of like a half taper, so it's smaller at the foot end, widthwise I mean, then at the head it kind of starts to taper in. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. At the top of this quilt there is a drawstring. Annoyingly, like a lot of quilts, it's right in your face for when you're sleeping, so you lie across this like this, and this is really long for when you cinch it up, and then it's all over your face when you're sleeping. I don't know why companies do that, but please stop. Down along the edge there are small hooks on each of the baffles. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hooks and accompanying loops to attach those two. So you can use this as a sleeping bag. You can just put those together and sleep in it like a bag like that, and it will just have a few holes running down your back. This bag, or this quilt, doesn't automatically come with pad straps. You can get pad straps, and they're like a couple of quid off AliExpress as well. I didn't bother getting them. I might do at some point if I put in another order there. But what I do is, if it's a bit warmer, I just drape that over me and use it just like a blanket type thing, or I would use it like a kind of sleeping bag. Because my Thermarest Neo Air X Lite is kind of warm enough to, if I use it as a sleeping bag, then the holes down my back aren't really an issue because my pad's keeping me nice and warm. At the foot of this quilt there is I think it's a 20-inch zip, so it's a zip foot box, so you can use the quilt all open, it's not sewn up or boxed in or anything, and that's what I usually do. So I don't usually use it just as a blanket, I have my feet inside here to keep them warm, and then at the base there's another drawstring, and that just pulls up like that, nice and tight. There's pros and cons of this type over kind of sewn up foot boxes. People say they get a draft through this little hole at the bottom here. I haven't personally found that, or I've just worn the right socks. I like being able to, if I needed to, not that I have done, being able to unzip this and use it as a blanket. But yeah, so that's how that goes together. So the actual stats of this, or the specs of this quilt then, while you could say it should be taken with a pinch of salt because it comes from a unreliable website, it's better than I expected to get for 85 quid. The website says that it's 700 fill down, goose down, and 90%, 90-10 ratio, so that means 90% down to 10% feathers, which is pretty good. That's like the ratio you'd expect for higher quality stuff. I'm not going to say whether they're just saying that so they can charge a bit more for it or what, but it's kept me warm all winter, so I'm not complaining. The length and width of this quilt, at its widest part, it is 140 centimetres and it's 204 centimetres long. I'm about 6 foot and it's more than enough for me. I'll just put my feet down right into the foot box now and pull it up, and it easily goes over my head. So yeah, plenty big enough, so I don't need to get or look for a larger version or anything like that. The basic regular one is enough for me. The baffles are not sewn through, so one of the options on AliExpress, the one with the vertical baffles, is sewn through, and basically that means you can get cold spots at the point where the baffles are sewn through because there's no actual insulation there. But this one has baffle walls, so between each of the baffles there's a wall of material where down can actually essentially touch through the fabric. So there's never, in theory, there should never be a point where there can't be insulation in this quilt. The material that this quilt is made from is 20D nylon. It does feel, when you're feeling it, a bit fragile, but that's the same as all kind of ultralight gear. 20D is not bad. I don't look after my kit the best, but I haven't ripped this yet, and all it would take is a bit of duct tape or tenacious tape or whatever to fix this, if it did get a rip in it, but that's fine. Leakage wise, a lot of cheaper down products often leak. Haven't actually noticed any of that myself, not even out of the baffles where it's sewn up. Yeah, I can't see any feathers here at all, and I haven't actually noticed any before. So that's really good, so no leakage so far. The actual weight of the down inside this quilt is 360 grams. That's pretty impressive, or it's a pretty good number considering the whole, or the total weight of the blanket, or the quilt, is 615. So over half of the weight is down. 615 grams for this quilt is pretty cheap. It's pretty low. When you consider the sleeping bag I was using before this was about 1.5 kg, maybe 1.4 kg. I've used this quilt down to -4 It says its limit is 0 or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. But I've used this down to -4 with a decent set of base layers and socks on and a hat. I wasn't cold. Obviously, with all quilts, just make sure you have a decent pad underneath you. If you don't have a decent pad, you're going to get no insulation under you, and it's going to suck all the warmth that this is working hard to insulate from your body heat. So just so you buy the right one, or buy this one if this is the one you want, on the AliExpress website, like I said, there are 3 different types, and they've all got a code for their specific one. This is the IF516 quilt. That's India Foxtrot 516. Like I said, the other 2, one of them has baffles running vertically, head to toe, and the other one is just a rectangle, whereas this one has a kind of taper. If you're looking, like me, if you're looking for a kind of budget backpacking quilt, super light and super cheap, that'll do the job, definitely 3 season, if not 4, then look no further than this. The one thing you may want to consider, especially if you've got a bit of spare capital, is RDS certification. Because this is from China, it doesn't have an RDS certificate, which is kind of ethically sourced down. If that's a game changer for you, then this probably isn't the best way to go. Go for one of the kind of more well-established companies. But for me at that time, I couldn't really afford to consider that, and this has fulfilled my purposes just fine as it is. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them down below. I'll put the link down in the description so you can find it more easily. And as always, thanks for watching, and wait out for the next video.